Welcome back to the Level Up and Live podcast. I'm your host, Sean Meyers, and we're on a mission to empower 100 business owners right here in Montgomery County to design a life they don't grow to regret without sacrificing health, relationships, or spirituality. We do this through the Level Up and Live mastermind group built on 5 pillars: accountability, clarity, support, guidance, and community. Today, we've got a special guest in the studio, Ethan Obalek, the owner of Top Speed Images. Ethan's a young entrepreneur in his early 20s who's leaned in, asked questions, and surrounded himself with like-minded leaders to accelerate his growth as a business owner. Ethan, welcome to the show, brother. So, did I pronounce your last name right?
Yes.
Obalek. I totally might have jacked that up.
Yeah, everybody messes it up, so it's okay.
Got it, Obalek. Well, Ethan, let's start at the beginning, brother. What drew you into photography, and when did you decide to make it a business?
So when I was a young kid, I was raised. I've always been a homeschooler. Always been a homeschool kid, and my mom had us in these like co-op sort of things, these social groups where younger kids can kind of have a social life but not go to public school. And one of our classes was biology. And they had us taking pictures of different things. And, this was back when iPhones were kind of still wrapping around, getting new. And so I had like an iPhone 7, and they requested us to take like 3 pictures of stuff that's in our yard. And we'll, take those pictures, and whatever we took pictures of, we'll use that as a study or whatever. So I took like pictures of like a flower, a bird's nest, like the moon, stuff like that. And, I got a lot of good feedback off of it, and I just thought, well, that was really easy. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun playing around with the different angles and like the edits and everything. And I was like, dude, I really want to like do this. So that Christmas, my parents helped me get a camera, and I used to just sit up late at night and take pictures of the moon through my window late at night, and it just kind of grew to. I've always been a car guy since I was a young kid. It was something me and my grandfather did together a lot with each other. And so I was like, well, I love doing this thing, and I also love doing this thing. I'm going to put these two together and see what happens from it. So I just, from at 15 years old, I would be waking my dad up at 6 o'clock in the morning, like, hey, we got to go to Houston. There's a big car show today. And he would take me out there. We would go hang out, and I would just go. And at my beginning stages, when I was 15, 16, I was super scared to talk to people. So I would mostly just go and take the pictures and kind of just go back home, play around with them, throw them up on the internet, see what happened. And just consistency with doing that over, the course of 4 or 5 years, I've grown it to knowing all these different people and these entrepreneurs that hit me up and want to shoot their awesome cars and stuff. So when I first started, it's just been a dream to have people reach out to me and shoot like their really nice cars. And now I'm kind of more focusing on doing social media management. So I want to be able to run people's companies, do content for them. I want to call myself like a brand visualizer. So that way, like when you look at somebody's page, you can see like, yeah, Ethan runs their page, and kind of put people on the map, but like more in a creative way, because I want to take social media management and also mix it with my photography and videography as well, so it all kind of blends together really nicely, so that you can tell like my stuff sticks out from everybody else's.
Let's peel back the layers a little bit. I want to know, take our audience and viewers and listeners, what was that turning point for Ethan when you actually realized, hey man, I can actually do this and I can build something real and meaningful? So, was there a turning point or a moment for you?
Turning point. I'm trying to remember what exactly it was. I know something had happened where somebody big had hit me up. I had just picked up a new camera. I was working at Chick-fil-A, and I had just picked up this new camera, and it was really expensive. And it was like the biggest investment I'd ever made in myself. And I was scared because I was like, man, this is a lot of money. And so I would just wake up early in the morning, go to the car shows before my shifts and stuff, edit the pictures while I was on break, and then post them out. And early 2022, I had this really huge like car club hit me up in Houston. Was like, hey man, we love your stuff. We want you to come start shooting for us. And this is like at the time, they're the biggest car show in Houston that you can go to, like the most exotic stuff, the most exclusive everything, VIP, all that. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
So I was freaking out about
Yeah.
that. I was getting free rides and all the nice cars and special invites to all the rallies and cruises and everything. They even took me on a trip from Houston to Austin to Dallas. Everything was paid for. I took one of my buddies with me, and it was just like you know what, like this could actually happen. Like if these guys trust me at 18 years old to do this, this could be something great.
Yeah.
Um, and just hearing all the positive feedback from those guys and the um, what would be the word, like the traits they see in myself, they see in themselves too.
Yeah.
One of the entrepreneurs that used to go into that group, he would actually come over to my house and stuff, and he would talk to me about my mindset and how we kind of thought a lot alike, and he really liked that. So he almost kind of
Mm.
mentored me a lot, like got me a lot of clients, got me here, put me here, had me talking to these people, and just taught me a lot of valuable stuff. And from there, I was like, man, if these like 30-year-old multimillionaires are taking their time to come down to my side of town and teach me these things, I feel like I have something in me that's really worth
Mm.
it, or he would not be spending his time down here with me.
So what I'm hearing you say is because a mentor, somebody that you looked up to and aspired to be like,
Yes,
they believed
yes.
in you, correct? What would you, if you put yourself in their shoes and then you pay it forward and you're talking to the young entrepreneur in that 15, 16, 17 year range, so 5 years, so roughly 5 years ago, and somebody listening to this, why is it that you think these multimillionaires gave you the time and day to come and guide you, mentor you, and spend that time, energy, and effort with you? Why is it that you think they
So
did
when
that?
I started around 2019, I actually went to these guys' meets all the time. I always put myself out there. Probably was a little bit annoying, just always showing my face, always showing up. And everybody knows how far away I lived. I lived an hour away, so it was always an hour trip there, hour trip back. And so one of my biggest things was I would try to race everybody back home to get the pictures done, edited, sent to all the owners, and then posted online. So when you're looking at somebody, who's in their 30s, who's running the successful car club, and you have this young kid who's driving an hour away and then an hour back home, stays for your full event, and then get your pictures done, sent, posted within an hour or two of your meet, to me, I feel like they would look at it like, okay, this guy's got drive. This guy's got something in him. Like he wants this position. Because I would always talk to the owner and be like, hey, man, this is what I do. This is what I want to do for you. You don't even have to pay me anything. Just let me in and I'll show you what I can do. But I just need that opportunity.
So I want to stop people right there. People listening to that, you spent your own time, your own gas, your own energy, and you went down there to take pictures to them, hustle back, post photos for them, and what I'm hearing you say is you didn't charge
Yes,
them
sir.
a dime, correct? Keep going. I just want to make sure our audience, viewers, and listeners understood that. You didn't ask of anything.
Mm-hmm.
You gave
Yeah,
first. So keep
all I was
going.
asking for was just an opportunity. An opportunity to me meant more than any money that I could make. I just wanted to be able to put myself on the map, and to do that, I needed to have something under me. So I just used that experience, used that grind, that hustle of like, I want this. This is going to be mine. Um, and just kind of grew it to where it is now. I still work with those guys occasionally too, and they've seen how far I have came, and they're always reposting my work and always hitting me up and letting me know, hey man, you're killing it. Keep doing what you're doing. Can't wait for you to have something like we drive, and
Yeah.
you can be a part of the club with us and everything. So that's like one of my goals is to that's where I started was with them, and now hopefully later down the road I can have a car like that so I can be a part of this social group with them.
Ethan, you're wise behind you're wise beyond your years, brother. And I'm in my 30s. I know you're in your 20s. And there's no way I'm on a podcast today talking in my 20s. If I am, I don't know what to say, and I don't have the words. I don't, because there's no confidence. There's no confidence because I was shy and timid. And I'm just super grateful for you sharing this story. And for our audience and listeners listening to this, what the story that you just shared is something that I wish I would have grasped in my 20s. And so many people in this day and age, we always want, like, what can you do for me? It's a selfish need. You do for me first, and then I'll do for you. You scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. And unfortunately, as ashamed as I am to say this, I used to think like that. In my 20s, I'm like, well, I did this for you, so you do this for me. And it was the wrong mindset because it was
Right.
all about me. Your story that you just shared is fascinating because you had the mentality of, I want to learn from these other business owners. I want to plug myself into these environments. You gave your time, your energy, your resources, your expertise, your skill sets. And yes, I understand that you were building a foundation, but that mindset right there is very rare, brother. And if you can continue that same mindset in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, because you're a student of the game in every level that you level up in, dude, it's only a matter of time, not if, but when you get to where you want to go. That's the mentality. Give before you receive first. So what a beautiful lesson, man. And actually, that's a freaking
Thank you. I
masterclass.
appreciate it. One of my
Yeah. So as a young entrepreneur,
one of
go
my
ahead.
I guess one of the key points behind that mindset was I just always knew, like, there's not enough that, like, what can I say? Like, you can't learn enough. There's always something to learn, right? And so, as a young kid who wants to be in these nice cars,
Yes.
who wants to be, at these nice restaurants, whatever, I knew I had to get myself in with these guys, even if it's just I'm not even a part of the conversation. I'm just kind of standing back, listening to what other people are talking about. So then it plugs me into, well, this guy does
Yeah.
this and he does this. Well, he went this route and also this route, and then kind of blended them in later down the road, and all this sort of stuff. And then I would kind of poke my 2 cents in and like talk about where I've came from, and because everybody's past is very important. I feel like everybody's past tells a very
Yes.
key point on like what is held in the future, right? So yeah, that was the mindset behind that.
Yes.
I just wanted to put that part in there.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And I agree with you on that mindset. And you're right. Everybody's got a past. And because if you're intentional about seeking and learning from that person's past, because a lot of times we hear this overnight success and we see these things, people on social media posting their pictures of their vacations, their cars, their houses. And yeah, sure, in my teens and 20s, I'd have been like, oh man, I aspire to be like that guy. I got to make a lot of
Right.
money to get that. But it's really a false sense. It's a false hope. And what I've learned in the last 2 decades since in my early 20s is, dude, those people that are posting that, one or two things are happening. They're either paying somebody, right, to be on the private jet, to rent the car, whatever it may be. So it's like,
Right.
who do you actually trust? The second is the road less traveled. And this is what I've learned. You're actually the people that are posting these things and not making it about themselves. They're sharing their journey. They're
Right.
documenting their journey. And you're seeing a lot of that on YouTube and these social media outlets, the struggles, the trials, the tribulations. Those are the ones that you follow, and then you pick your head up in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and you go, man, I was on the journey with that guy. I talked to him on the phone, text message, email, podcast, and then 3 years later, 5 years later, we still have a relationship. We still communicate with each other, but you know what they've been through. But to society and to external forces, they don't have that relationship, so they only see what they see in their perception
Right.
of online. But what I'm hearing you say and what you're putting into work is you're actually doing the deep work behind the scenes. You're asking questions. You're investing in yourself. You're showing up. You see, and then when you get to where you want to go and you post that or you share that, you have a story
Exactly.
to tell. And that, my friend, is the journey of becoming that 10.0 version of yourself. And it's going through those pain caves, going through the trials and the struggles, the sleepless nights, the anxiety, all that is the beauty of life. It's the joy in the process. Do you feel that? Do you
I do
receive
that. So
that? What are
my
your
thoughts
thoughts
on
on
that
that?
are, I think what you just talked about, the struggles, all the sleepless nights, restless days where you're just like, man, I cannot push any further. I think people forget about that stuff because, even for me, it's like, when I'm shooting for all these guys with these nice cars and stuff, yeah, they have that really nice car, but nobody ever really thinks like, how many restless, sleepless nights did he have to go through? All the countless times he had to tell his friends no, all the countless times he had to miss birthdays,
Yes.
family events to be like, I gotta go make this work. And now he has that really nice car. And now I'm over here like, man, I really want that car. Like, how can I do that? So I'm trying to put myself in that space where it's like, I, if I have to make this work, a lot of sacrifice has to come with that. If it was easily attainable, it wouldn't be worth grabbing. So the more hurt it takes, the better it is later on down the road.
There's going to be so many seasons. There's going to be so many seasons of life. There's going to be seasons of life where you are in isolation, where you are in grind mode, hustle mode, where you're in hyper focus mode, and that's okay. But here's the key ingredient. You better make sure that you've plugged yourself into a community. You better make sure you've plugged yourself into a mentor who you aspire to be like, spirituality, in relationships, in health and fitness. Because yes, it's okay that we go through these isolations, but at the same time, you better pick your head up out of that sand and make sure that you're not neglecting your health. You're not neglecting your relationships. You're not neglecting the spirituality. Because what's it all for, Ethan? If you pick your head up in 5 years, 10 years, you have the house, you have the cars, you have the money in the bank account, but nobody likes you. You're 40 pounds overweight. You're going through a divorce. Your
Right.
kids don't like you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth it. So you have to make sure that you are hyper aware of who you're becoming, because it can be done. Yes, there will be sacrifices and you will have to be in isolation, but self-awareness is a key ingredient, making sure that you're very intentional and you time block those different areas, because when one is really doing good, you're really good in business, but then these other areas, man, I haven't
Right.
worked out in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I've been that guy. So just finding that alignment. I'm a big believer in not balance of life, but
Exactly.
alignment in life. If you can align what it is that you're doing in your photography business and the social media managing with how you show up in your relationships, being fully present today on the podcast with Sean and not worrying about what's going on outside, that's how you get to where you want to go, is
Exactly.
with that alignment. You have
Yeah,
any
I
thoughts
think
on
it's very
that?
important, having everything in alignment. It's the same thing as having a good schedule, right? If you don't have a good schedule, you're not going to be successful
Yeah.
because you have to stick to one schedule. Um, and the same thing about being in alignment.
Yes.
I feel like discipline follows alignment very well. I think those two go together. Um, but that was one of my biggest fears when I was first starting, was all of this was, how much time am I going to have to take away from like my family and stuff like that. So I did a lot of diving. I do a lot of self-reflection at night and throughout the day. I always try to make sure, like, okay, I'm doing this is awesome, but am I making sure my friends are okay? Am I still hanging out with my family? Am I not
Yeah.
neglecting anybody? Because obviously I want to win, right? But I don't want for people to look at me as like, I don't want to hang out with you, or I don't want to be around you or something. I've always wanted people to still, feel like they could hang with me and like, do whatever. But, that way they have the boundary of like, this is what I do. These are my goals. I have it very clear and set. So I may not be available 24/7, but when I am, like, let's have some fun or whatever. But I have to stay focused on this too,
Yeah.
because I have learned in myself, one of my biggest traits is like, as soon as I start to get just for a second not focused, I try to stay not focused. So it's like, if I can stay focused on one side, stay there, and occasionally wear off, you know. But staying focused is my
Yeah.
main focus, I guess, is just to stay in that line and stay
Yeah.
going straight, because I have like really bad ADHD and stuff. So it's really hard. It's really easy for me to like distraction here. I'm like scroll braining around. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I think with good
No, I think that's
alignment,
great.
everything balances
Well, and that's
together.
this. Yeah. 100%. And you're on the right path, being a student of the game. And that's designing a life that you don't grow to regret, is by being super aware, having an alignment, and saying, yeah, this is the season of life I'm in, and communicating that to them, having those boundaries. But when you're at lunch or coffee or at a mastermind group or on a podcast or driving down the road with one of your friends, you're not on your phone. You're not doing 5 different things. You're there present. And that is the biggest takeaway, is when you're there, be there. Don't do
Right.
14 other things, because you're spreading yourself thin and you wonder why you've depleted your energy. And that's why we're so big on time blocking. That's a whole nother conversation. But I wanted to ask you, and I'm curious, and I know our audience and listeners are as well, as a young entrepreneur, what were some of the early mistakes or challenges that you faced in getting your business off the ground? Because I know I've made
It's
hundreds, if not thousands, of mistakes, failures, learning lessons, call it what you want. But I'm curious with you, man, what were some of those early mistakes and challenges
with
you faced to get your business off the
with
ground?
mistakes always comes growth. If you're not making mistakes, you're not growing.
Mm,
That's what I want to start with.
yes,
So you have to
that's
remember,
good.
I'm a young kid. I'm like 18 years old, 17 years old, and I'm talking to these guys that are worth millions of dollars. So one of my biggest, I guess, mistakes was, it's not that I wasn't reading the room properly. It was, um, I think, with how I spoke. Um, was one of my biggest things. Like, I'm really big on communication and everything, but I think the way that I was trying to
Yeah.
get my point across in the beginning wasn't as direct and firm. Just because I'm a young kid, I still have to be taken
Mm,
seriously, all those things. And so I think one of my mistakes when I was younger was I let a lot of people kind of, you know, like get off on me a little bit, like kind of run me through because I'm
yeah.
just some photographer kid, right? Um, One thing that I've learned from that is standing your ground, and this is what I do. I stand on that.
Mm,
Yeah, back in the day, I just
so
kind of
good.
let people just run all over me because I was like, well, I'm still having fun. I'm still doing all this stuff, and
Yeah.
my parents and my friends, it started to get to a point where they're like, hey, man, like you do great stuff. Don't let these people take advantage.
Yeah.
And that's still something I'm trying to learn of, today, is just making sure that fine line of still doing everything you want to do, but also not letting people take that upper hand on you. Um, so those were
Yeah.
some mistakes that I did,
Mm,
was, just communicating. I would always, my biggest thing was when I would reach out to somebody, it was a lot of like jibber jatter. You know, One thing that I've realized with people that are of money or very busy or successful, you know, it's very short, like straight to the point. I need to know what's going on. I don't have time to read a whole thing about what you do or whatever. So that's been my biggest thing, is
yeah.
trying to get your point across, in a really short span, so that when somebody
Yeah.
reads it, it's impactful. It's a punch, like, oh wow,
Mm,
that bit, it kind of brings you in, and you're like, dang, this is like really interesting. I've never seen this
yeah.
from like a photographer before. This is really like well thought out, and everything. So that's what I've always aspired to want to
Yeah.
be like different. That's always been my thing. I want people to look at me and then look at somebody else like, this guy was just a bit different. And then that's why I like to have so much personality, like with all of my clients and stuff, because yes, I may do good in business too, but I also want to build that relationship with you too, because I'm really big on relationships with clients, family, friends, all of that.
Yeah. Man, I think that's so relatable, especially for our listeners and audience and viewers. That was excellent. Your mistake and then what you're doing to overcome that, man. I couldn't agree with you more, Ethan. I think that was beautifully said. And a lot of our listeners and audience, I've met a lot of people over the years in business that experiencing that same frustration and mistake. It's like recovering people pleasers and not wanting to let people down and asking for the sale or asking for the credit card. But at the end of the day, I really think that comes down to competence and confidence, especially as you as we grow older and as we become more wise and hanging around and asking good questions, we become more competent. We become more confident in what it is that we're doing once we get super clear on what that is in business and in life. And when we become whole, when we look inward and we ask ourselves the deep, hard, deep work questions, and you find out what really makes you tick, your strengths, your flaws, your weaknesses, and you're able to have that emotional intelligence, that's when you're able to own the room. That's when you're able to, when you provide services and you're on social media and you're in person, like, hey, I'm going this way. These are the services I offer. This is the product I offer. If you want to do business and you see the value that I offer the market, then let's do business. And you have that confidence and that competence. And I've seen just a shift in the last few months of getting to build a relationship with you and know you and who you're surrounding yourself with, and how you respond via text message with me, how you follow up with me, and how you are in person, continuing to show up. All these little things are characteristics and principles of what you're talking about. So it's not if, but when you get to that place. And when you do, brother, man, you get a little pep
Yes,
in your
sir.
step. You know what I mean?
I want to go back on the confidence thing. I think a lot of people look past confidence. You know, I will admit, back when I was first starting, a lot of people would hit me up. Like, you know, when I was first starting, I'd be hitting everybody up for like free shoots. Like, hey guys, I'm doing free shoots. Like, you know, I don't need anything. Let's just hang out, grab something to eat, take some photos, whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, I would have those people that would hit me up, be like, hey, I have a budget for this. Can you do this? And I would be like, right away, just like, yeah, I can do that. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I have no idea how to do that. So, you know, it's just like I was always try to stay super confident, because even if you
Yeah.
don't feel confident, people are going to see that. They're going to feel that energy from you. So, as a business owner, no matter what
Yeah.
you do, you have to put yourself in your future client's shoes too. You know, if you were at your home and
Yeah.
let's say
Yeah.
this guy who mows yards, he walks up to your door and he's like this, and he's like, "Hey, I mow yards. You know, can I do that for you?" And so you have somebody that comes up and they got their chest sticked out like this, and they're like, "Hey, this is my name. I do this. I've been doing it for this long. I mow yards. I'm confident I can make this look great." It's that difference of like, "Oh, okay, this guy knows what he's doing," and it's like, "Okay, here you go."
Yes. Yep. Yeah, that's so well said. It's that confidence. It's the I mean, it's a separator. It really is. And there's a way to go about building that. And I would encourage anybody listening to this to go back 3 minutes and what me and Ethan just talked about. It's really putting in the reps. I mean, essentially, it's like going to the gym. Somebody that's never been to the gym before, and they go to the gym, they're going to look around and go, "Holy smokes! This dude's over here doing 10 pull-ups. This person over here is flying on the
It
treadmill." It's
is.
intimidating for somebody that's never been in the gym. But if you keep showing up, if you keep putting in the reps, if you keep having and stacking those disciplines, it's only a matter of time before you become one of those individuals, because now it becomes your identity. Now you become competent because you've gotten curious, you've showed up, and you've created those disciplines. And now that creates confidence. Consistency plus execution equals success, and whatever that may look like. Consistency plus execution equals confidence, competence, whatever you want to put to that. And it's such a beautiful game, but most people don't do it. Why do you think most people don't do it? Why do you think most young entrepreneurs, if you think about your friends, if you think about people that are in your circle, your community, and people that you've gotten to know over the years, why do you think they lack that of continuously showing up or continuously having the discipline? Any thoughts on
I
that?
think it stems a lot from a lot of I've seen a lot of people that are my age. I think it's just pure decisions. Um, I think it's
Hmm.
they just maybe they don't see it in themselves. But I've just from a lot of people my age that I talk to, it's I have just always felt like I'm on a different wavelength um, with my thinking. Um, you know,
Yeah.
it's
Why is that?
I'm
Why do you
a
think you're
I'm
on
a
a different
critical
wavelength?
thinker. Back when I used to go to therapy and stuff, some stuff happened with my parents, and I was going to therapy to try to help calm my anxiety and depression and stuff. And one thing that they told me was, the way that you think about things is so like deep. that it's going to be really hard for you to feel like understood with other people. And with that, I've always just been a critical thinker. Like, throughout the day or throughout the night, I'm always thinking about, like, personal growth, or how did I handle this situation? How could I have done that situation better? How can I grow the business in this way? I'm that dude that's on ChatGPT at like 1 a.m. in the morning. Like, I had this idea and I'm like, how would this work? And I'm typing in info, and like, and then I'm going on a whole rant. So I just don't see a lot of that from
Yeah.
other people my age, I guess. Maybe they don't think that it's attainable. Maybe they don't think that maybe that's just not something they're focused on. I've never been a big college person, and a lot of, I guess, people that around my age right now are all going to college and stuff. And I don't put friends down for going to college. It's just, I just know that wasn't for me. So I took a different route.
What at the end of the day, Ethan, what keeps you going? Like, what is your why? What's your purpose? Like, what keeps you up at 1 o'clock in the morning, diving down into AI, keep you showing up to the mastermind group, plugging yourself in, doing the podcast at such a young age? What's your why, man? What's your purpose? Like, what's your
So
driving
obviously I'm a
force?
Christian man. And my grandfather, he was also a very big Christian man. He came up from a very bad past, had really bad parents and stuff, and he grew to be one of the best Christian men I ever knew in my entire life. And he was a very good role model for me and my brother and my cousins and everything. And I don't want to make it materialistic, but with us sharing those memories with cars and stuff, it's kind of like a time capsule, if that makes sense. So, you know, my
Yeah.
why is, I just want to have a couple nice cars and be able to look up, be like, dude, look what I did, Um, and I also just want to take care of my family. That's been my biggest thing is I don't want us ever have to worry about, a house situation or a flat tire or anything like that. I just want to have, financial support or stability, just never having to have a care in the
Yeah.
world, just,
Yeah.
free throwing through life and having fun. Like, I want me and my family and friends to all have fun, and money not be an issue. That's my biggest thing. And
Yeah.
plus, I just have that vision of, like,
Mm.
I feel like what this could be, could be really huge. So that's why I'm just like, I gotta get that done.
Mm. I love that, man. And you're going to go back and listen to this episode 10 years from now, Ethan, and you're going to be smiling ear to ear because you're going to accomplish that. You're going to get that financial freedom. You're going to get that time freedom, and people are going to be so proud of you. We're
Thank you. I
already proud
appreciate
of
it.
you, brother. We are already proud of you. And God is not going to give us anything that we can't handle. God is not going to give anything that Ethan cannot handle. And at the end of the day, it's who you being a child of God. There's so much untapped potential in that in you, and it's who you're becoming in this journey to getting to that North Star, to that why, to that purpose, that financial freedom, that time freedom. Because I will assure you, brother, it will change over time. It will evolve. Right now, that may be the case, and that's okay. But when you pick your head back up, it's making sure that you're in alignment with now you have leveled up. See, Ethan is where he's at right now at this level. But in 5 years, you're going to have leveled up a lot. That your growth is going to have compounded. So then you're going to have to pick your head up out of the sand again and making sure that you're in alignment with who you're wanting to become. And at that point, you have the financial freedom, the time freedom. Now you're like, you know what? I want to become that 10.0 spiritual leader. I want to give back. I want to give back to my church, my volunteer, whatever it may be. But just being aware of that, and that you always important to have that clarity, that North Star, because we as business owners get punched in the
Mhm.
mouth a lot. It happens, and making sure we get back up to make sure that we focus on that bigger picture. And that's what you're doing, brother. And I love having a front row seat in
I'm
this
glad to
journey
have
with you,
you
man.
along, and I want to say thank you for all the help that you've given me as well. I've seen so much personal growth in myself. So, you know, having these
Yep.
conversations, having those just real deep, you know, what are your lows, what are your highs, just those real, just critical thinking. Really just makes you dive deep in yourself. Why did this happen? How can we make that work?
Yeah.
And just developing. It's like
Mhm.
investing. It's like it stacks here and then it stacks here and then it stacks a little bit more
Yes.
this time, and then it just keeps building up, right? So um, that's one of my biggest
Yep.
things is making sure, you're focused on growth, but then also remember to look up and see where you're at, because I feel like a lot of business owners,
Yes.
like myself, they're always so focused on this thing or that thing or this thing, and they forget to look back and be like, dude, I would have never thought I even would have been that far, 10 years ago, so
That's
that
right.
that space between like, wow,
Yeah.
like this year, last year, this, that's that. Remember just to look up and appreciate yourself, give yourself props as well, instead of just constantly just drilling. One of my things I had to learn was to kind of
Yeah.
step back and look back and be like, wow, dude, like this is something that I did, and like have that little 5-10 minutes of like, dude, I did that,
Yeah.
and then focus back to what you were doing.
That's really good, really good. If somebody listening is in their early 20s and considering starting a business, or maybe they're 0 to 12 months in their business, what would be the biggest piece of advice or testimony you would want them you want them to
Oh
walk away with
man, I
after
love
listening
that
to this
question,
podcast?
dude. Don't be scared. Love what you do. Find something you love to do. Put
Mm.
everything you have into that. Um, just
Mm. Yes.
keep God first. Grind hard. But the biggest thing is that don't be scared. That's the biggest thing, especially when you're first starting, is you're scared. You're a dog with your tail in between your legs. You don't know what you're going to do, what mistakes you
Yeah.
can make, what
Yep.
good you can do. So one thing that I would recommend, whatever you're going to go into doing, YouTube, ChatGPT, figure out the ins and outs of everything about trade or anything you're wanting to
Yeah.
do, so that when you go into something, you may have never had experience with it, but you had so many hours of just figuring everything out. So somebody asks you a question, you know the answer, or if the stats of this
Mm.
or that, you're just confident. Don't be scared and be confident in what you're going to do.
Mm. Mm. And
Take action.
take action. Make sure you take action.
Obviously, yeah, that too.
Oh, I got you, bro. That's my second. That's my God given tank strength on the Strengths
Mhm.
2.0 Finder. Not to get off in the weeds with anybody. Anybody listening to this, highly recommend Strengths 2.0
I
Finder. Have you
have
done
not.
that
No,
assessment,
not yet.
Ethan? Okay, you need to do it, man. Highly recommend, but it gives you your 5 top strengths. And so my number 2 is activator. So I'm an activator. I get people going. Like, let's go to the gym, or let's start a
Right.
podcast, or come on the podcast, or let's start a mastermind group. Like, I'm always like getting people,
Hmm.
enrolling people to take action. So knowing that, I stay in my lane
Exactly.
on what I'm good at. So last and final question, man, before we wrap things up, brother. Looking ahead, where do you see yourself at and top speed images going in the next 5 to 10 years,
I
bro?
want to be a company that you can come to run your social media, to run all your ads, put yourself on the map, get people walking in through the door. If you need a website built, I can do that for you. Pretty much anything in the realm of content creation, social media, websites, I want to be able for you to come to me and do all those sort of things.
Mm. Beautiful, man. I love it. You're gonna manifest that. Have you
I
written
haven't
that
written it
down?
down yet, but it's manifesting. It's like I can feel it eating. It's like it's ready to go. So
Awesome. Well, I'm
I
going to
will.
challenge you to write that down. And anybody listening to this as well, whatever it is that you manifest and you desire, you have to have that obsessive desire on what you want your life to look like in the next 12 months, heck, even 6 months. It's hard to visualize that in 3 to 5 years, but I always like asking that question, because what does that allow us to do? To slow down and really look at things at 30,000 feet. What do I want my life to look like in 5 years? Where do I want to be living? Do I want to be living in a single house, a 2-story? Do I want to be living in Costa Rica? Do I want to drive a car? Do I want Uber to drive me around everywhere? Do I want to have a big belly, or do I want to have an 8-pack of abs? I just asked 8 questions that most people don't
Yep.
even ask themselves. So getting super clear on that clarity, that's how you end up manifesting who it is, designing a life that you don't go to regret, is because you've manifested, you've taken the time to think about it and getting super clear on that. So I
One of
always
one
love
of
asking that
my one
question.
of the things that me and one of my old buddies used to do was he would ask me, "What do you want?" And we would print a picture of it out and we'd put it on a whiteboard. We'd put on a whiteboard
Yes.
right here,
Yeah.
and then we would start here. Staircase, 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 staircase. How from you're here grow to here? What are the steps? What's the vision? That's what one thing we always did. So I'm a real
Yeah.
big on posters and stuff. So I have a lot of pictures of cars I really want like on my wall, so I can every time I wake up I see that. That's the first thing I see.
Yeah. It's beautiful, man. And you will manifest it. I promise you, you will, it's like Think and Grow Rich. It's, Napoleon Hill, excellent book, top 3 for sure. And it talks about just that, manifesting that, having that obsessive desire. It's not if, but when you have that, but just making sure who you're becoming along the way is the man that you want to strive to be and aspire to be. You don't want to pick your head up like I did at 35 and go, dang it, I don't like the man I've become. And I've really had to put in that deep work, that dark work the last 4 years. So learn from
Yes,
my
sir.
mistakes, okay, brother? Ethan, thank you for being so transparent today on today's podcast and pulling back the layers on your journey, brother. You've shown that with curiosity, courage, and consistency, even at a young age, you can build something meaningful and
Thank you.
lasting. So thank you for being on the show. I just want to
Thank you
acknowledge you,
for
brother,
having
for
me.
doing that today. Outside of that, man, our Level Up and Live community, you have been nothing but valuable today. You showed up, you said yes. How can our community support you?
Man, y'all are awesome already. To be honest with you, um, I don't think that there's really
Thank you.
much that I can think of at this one moment. Um, I would like to just have a lot of one-on-ones is my biggest thing. I like to have one-on-ones like this. So it's one of those things where it's like it's very personable. You can really get to deep dive into somebody, and I feel like the more kind of vulnerable you get, the more advice and the more help people can give you when you really start letting out like what's really bothering you, what's really holding you back, stuff like that.
Funny
Yes,
how that works, isn't it?
it's one of the scariest things. That's what's so weird. Is like the scariest stuff always has the best outcome. You know what I mean? Like starting a business, talking
Yes.
about personal
Yep.
feelings to grow from it. You know,
Yep.
putting your head down and saying, "Yes, I made that mistake,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna do better." That's scary. Just it's always for better, which is really crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, awesome, man. Well, and we'll also have some links in the show notes as well for any of our listeners and audience that want to go and support and follow Ethan in his journey of becoming that 10.0 version of himself. And as you heard him, his call to action was, hey, if you are a mentor, somebody that really resonated with Ethan's message today, reach out to him. We'll also have his contact information in the show notes. He's looking for mentors. He's hungry. He's plugging himself in. And Ethan,
Thank you
thanks
for
again
having
for
me,
being on
Sean.
the show. You bet. For those listening, if you're a business owner in Montgomery County and you want to surround yourself with like-minded leaders like Ethan, check out the Level Up and Live Mastermind Group. We offer a 1-month free trial to plug you into accountability, clarity, support, guidance, and community. Until next time, keep leveling up and keep living with intention. See you in the next episode.